towards morning hours, around 3 o'clock. I was actually asleep, dead asleep. When these people came, they couldn't get through the door, so what they did, they went on hitting windows to break through. The glass got broken and it fell on me. So from there, I jumped, fell down as I was trying to take cover. When they got into the dormitory, they began beating girls, kicking around, because they were saying we refused to open for them the door. Okay, I was saying this war here has affected me as a person. This was in 1996 when I joined secondary school. I was in St. Mary's College, Aboke, where we were abducted.
My name is Immaculée Ilibagiza. In 1994, I survived the genocide in my home country, Rwanda. Since then, I've written a book, Left to Tell, and traveled the world telling my story of survival and forgiveness. During 1994, there was a genocide that was against people of my tribe, Tutsis. They started to kill us, and my parents sent me to go to hide to a neighbor from the other tribe. And I went to his home. He put me to sit in the bathroom for 3 by 4 feet with other 7 women. The period we stayed in that bathroom, to me, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Rwandans are not the only people to suffer and then forgive. Today, I'm sharing my story with the Acholi people in Northern Uganda. They actually know what it means to suffer. They have endured more than 21 years of war. The fighting is stopped now. The government of Uganda and the rebel movement known as the Lord's Resistance Army are at the negotiating table, but no one knows for sure if the peace will last. As in Rwanda, men, women and children face torture, rape and abduction. Family members died. Craig Peoples directs work for the Lutheran World Federation in Uganda and Sudan.
Clearly, if you talk to the leader of the Lord's Resistance Army, a gentleman named Joseph Kony, he would say that he wants to rule Uganda by the 10 Commandments. Yet if you look at the actions and the way that the LRA is trying to promote its revolution, you would say this makes no sense. Part of the issue with the LRA in the past has been when people have tried to negotiate with them, they can't find the issues that if they resolve will bring everything to a peaceful conclusion. And so it's been one of the major problems with the LRA is there is no set agenda, or there doesn't appear to be a set agenda.
Rather than continue the cycle of violence, the Acholi people choose to overcome hatred with mercy, exchange bitterness for forgiveness, and turn despair into hope. As I listen to their story, I realize that the Acholi people's response to this war encourages each of us to practice mercy and forgiveness. The conflict in northern Uganda is between a rebel movement known as the Lord's Resistance Army and the government. Those most affected, a tribal people known as the Acholi or Luo people, endure rape, torture, and child abduction. Thousands have died, others are missing. 2 million people are displaced. Most live in squalid camps for internally displaced persons. Protected by government soldiers, they often fear more than the rebels. Despite all this, the Acholi people in northern Uganda are united in the belief that the only real solution to their problem is forgiveness and reconciliation. Uganda is a landlocked country located in East Africa. Following independence from Great Britain in 1962, Ugandans underwent a series of wars, military dictatorships, and coup d'etat. Since seizing power in 1986, the government of President Yoweri Museveni have brought a degree of political stability and signs of economic prosperity for some Ugandans, yet many problems remain. According to the US government, Uganda is subject to armed fighting among hostile ethnic groups, rebels, armed gangs, militia, and various government forces that extend across its borders. Uganda hosts 250,000 refugees from neighboring countries of Sudan, Congo, and Rwanda. Ironically, many Ugandans live as refugees in those same countries. Unlike refugees, Ugandans forced from their homes by fighting landmines or terror are known as internally displaced persons, or IDPs.
If you're a refugee in Uganda, you come under UNHCR. UNHCR has the responsibility to provide you protection. The Ugandan government has to recognize you as a refugee. And in Uganda, if you're a refugee, you're also given, under an enlightened refugee policy, land in which you can actually raise your crops and hopefully become self-sufficient again. If you're an IDP in your own country, you really typically have no status. And in terms of the internally displaced persons in Uganda, there has not been access to land typically to farm. And so you're totally dependent on others giving you food, giving you pots and pans. You have no income. It's a very difficult situation.
The Reverend Robinson Oginga Odinga is the treasurer for the Kidgum Diocese of the Church of Uganda.
Then since that time, 1986, there was an insurgency in the country, especially in the north, because there was a group that came out called, first of all, it was called the Holy Spirit Movement, led by a self-proclaimed prophet called Alice Lakwena. And that insurgency has caused a lot of trauma on the people.
The LRA has clearly decided that the best way to recruit new fighters is to abduct children. And then they indoctrinate them into the LRA by typically making them undertake some horrendous act. If they kidnap a group of these children, if one of them starts falling behind, they will have another child or a group of these other children kill this person, kill this other child. And this puts them then in a situation where they feel that they cannot leave the LRA.
Personally, I tried to escape, but I ran and then got into a compound. It had rained so much that day, but the place was so slippery. When we got to that compound, we could not actually now run. You know, you try, you just slide and fall. So those people ran so fast and got us before we had gone beyond that place. So they got us and took us back. And then what they did, they were beating people who tried to escape. You know, they slap you, kick you, and all that kind of thing. So when that happened, I gave up now. I said, no, I think this has failed, let me now move. Because any other attempt, if they get you like 2-3 times you're trying to escape, you're killed.
They would come to a village to abduct the people. This is mainly because I think they had failed to convince the population to join them willingly.
You're dealing with a rebel group that is very hit and run. They will come in and attack a village or a group of people, and then they will disappear into the bush. They typically know the area that they operate in much better than the UPDF, which is the Ugandan military, knows. They're not tied into traditional military operations like the UPDF is. And so it makes it very difficult to track them, to catch them, to kill them.
We think others were killed by the LRA because we are told that if they abduct a child, during the process they have to walk on foot to their bases. Huh? Their bases was in the Sudan. So you have to walk on foot from here up to the Sudan where you are trained. Huh? So some young children who couldn't walk that distance, when they are tired, they couldn't walk anymore. There are many eyewitnesses from the children who have escaped from abduction. And they say their friends who couldn't walk were killed on the way by the LRA.
The Pajimo Primary School lies about 45 kilometers outside Kitgum, along the Guru Road. Children once gathered to learn and play here. Except for a few lonely government soldiers, this facility is now abandoned. On the bare walls, children leave messages for the rebels, pleading with them to end the conflict.
They asked him, please, we are asking you peacefully to leave the fire thing and come home. We will join hands together. We, the Acholi people, we will not like problems, and we don't think it is necessary killing each other.
There is also some level of brutality, because I think you must have heard them cutting the lips of people, cutting the ears. That brutality, we don't like it.
Very many people were burnt in huts at Palabek, my area. There was a hut. The LRA came, got about 11 men, put them in the hut and set fire. Two of my nephews who had come to visit us, uncle, were also among those burnt to death. And they surrounded the hut. These people died miserably. And at some areas, people traveling in motorcars were shot, killed, and people are also rounded up when they were in the garden, shot, killed. And sometimes, you see, when they surround people up, they say, you all lie down, and then use heavy stick and pangas. A lot of massacre.
What is really happening in northern Uganda? For several occasions, people were being told different stories on what is happening on ground. But we want them to know the truth of what is happening in northern Uganda. So actually people are now really rejected lot.
Another challenge is that the culture of the community also has been destroyed because they stay together, and even the insecurity has brought in many soldiers. Conduct itself has been very poor in the camp situation of Ogili, such that the growing children who are even born within the camp area, they don't have the real basic culture of Acholi people.
It is ironic how both the rebels and their victims are Acholi. This is one people turning on his or her own sisters and brothers. Traditional Acholi villages are small and isolated. Early in the conflict, they were easy targets. The Acholi gained a measure of security by leaving their farms and villages behind and forming massive IDP camps. The price was high.
At the beginning, they would go around the villages. But time came when they forced all the people were forced from their homes to live in internally displaced person camps. They couldn't get the children freely from the villages. Therefore, they would come to recruit children and other youth from the IDP camps.
And in camp, there's a lot of disease. Malaria, whooping cough, TB, even HIV, AIDS, cholera. Only 24 hours, then you die.
In Kitgum district itself, almost everybody is an IDP. There's over 300,000 IDPs in Kitgum district. It's a place that has no normal lifestyle left. The impact on children is very significant. They're displaced with their families into very large camps. They're put into situations that they would not normally experience in their family life if they're still back living on their farm or their plot of land. The school systems are in some cases non-existent. When they do exist, you see anywhere from 100 to 200 to 500 children in a classroom. The schools are set up because Uganda has universal primary education, which is free, but in the situation where you have large numbers of children coming together, it just doesn't appear to work as well as it should work.
They really have a lot of challenges because, like drinking water. Okay, in the beginning when we had just gone to the camp, we were not having enough drinking water within the camp itself. So they were having challenges of long distance going to fetch this water, and the insecurity was not all that good as far as the distance were concerned. So they were faced with such kind of challenge.
The last 20 years, our people have been incapacitated because their livelihood has been destroyed. Because our mainstay here is farming. People have to dig in their gardens. They get money from the produce from their gardens. They sell part of it, and part of it they eat. But now they have been uprooted from their homes. They can't access the land. That's why recently we have been giving out some food relief to our people through ACT International. And ACT International is also funding LWF to do work here in the diocese.
They used to complain that the soldiers were intruding into their family's life. Like some of the soldiers were even intruding into the marriage life, trying to get away women from the community. So their fear was mainly on that, and if they drink, they should not come among the community because they would easily fire. Actually, they used to fire, but not firing on people, they just fire in the air. But that was a fear to the community, and it's still a fear to the community.
Nowhere is the impact of war seen more clearly than in the faces of Northern Uganda's children. Fearing abduction and unable to find safety in their own villages, boys and girls began nightly commutes into towns like Kitgum. There they huddled in groups, sleeping unsupervised in parks, under veranda and abandoned buildings. The Church of Uganda in Kitgum responded by organizing a night shelter. Each evening, as the equatorial sun drops suddenly below the horizon, hundreds of children emerge from dusty footpaths, toting school books or perhaps a bedsheet. They come looking for safety.
As the security situation worsened, many of our children were sleeping under verandas in town, under bars, and when they are there, many things do happen to them in the absence of the parents. There is cases of abuse where our children are being abused, issue of forceful raping of our children. All those indecent things were happening to our children. And that gave birth to this center where all these children that were sleeping under verandas in towns and all those nasty places, they now started sleeping here.
Me, I am an orphan. I've lost my mother
What I fear most is that I fear diseases. Yes. Diseases like AIDS. I really fear. Yes. And at home, I also think that there may be some mines with the rebels have left. Then when you just go and you don't know where they are put, you just step on it or touch it, then you will just die.
The war has destroyed my life. Even my parents I have lost.
Trauma as a result of the war. There are some children at the center here who were formerly abducted by the LRA rebels. Therefore, we do counseling.
I work with the children who are the night commuters and also outside. So we have children here who sleep. They come due to security reasons and some of them due to maybe bad states of their houses given the war condition. And what we do with them is provide accommodation and then also sensitize them on human rights, HIV/AIDS, life skills education, and also spiritual upbringing of the children. Yeah, we want to see children to grow maturely, spiritually, and physically. That's why we do this work. When you hear a gunshot, you sometimes get confused, traumatized, and you don't know what to do next. You're thinking of where I can hide, and yeah, this is really what happens.
Prayer is part of us. Since we are what? You can see we are church. This is a church-based organization. And in all things we do, it must manifest godly manners.
Many of them have appreciated our work because the children who were so much traumatized, at least through the therapy we have had with them, there are a good number of them who have improved.
Forgiveness is an important part of the Acholi culture. Reconciliation is a cornerstone of their faith. Some Acholi people combine Christian teachings that call for turning the other cheek with a traditional practice known as mato oput. At the age of 12, Organ Michael Roth was abducted by the rebels.
I was abducted by the Lord's Resistance Army in 1994. We entered into a UPDF ambush and we started a battle with them. That's when I got injured.
As the rebels fled the ambush, the wounded Organ Michael Roth was left for dead. Captured by the UPDF, he recovered from his wounds and eventually made his way home.
I can forgive them because they're people just like me.
The one time I was meditating on the life of Jesus Christ after surrendering. I remember when he was dying and he said, "Forgive them, Father. They don't know what they do. Forgive them, Father. They don't know what they do." That one time, though I have gone through all the time before, it changed my life. That moment, it was like you just got to know like 1 + 1 is 2, and you can't reverse that knowledge. The people who are hurting me, they can't ever understand the magnitude, the depth of the bad they are doing. They can't even measure the pain I'm going through. They don't even know who I am, like I become a skeleton. All of a sudden I realized that, you know what, the people who were killing Jesus, they didn't have an idea he was God, no matter how much he told them, I am. But they became even more angry because the blindness and the sorrow was much bigger, to a point where they killed him, hanged him for not doing anything ever. So it was really that time I said, you know what, there is a war of bad spirit and a good spirit, and I'm not going to belong to that bad spirit. I am going to go on the side of Jesus and pray for these people to wake up one day And I truly believe that anyone who does wrong, you can wake up one day and change. As long as you're still on earth and breathing, everything is possible. Forgiving the rebels seems impossible. Reconciliation appears hopeless. Yet, forgiveness and reconciliation are on the hearts, minds, and lips of the Acholi people. Reverend Acholi is a retired bishop in the Anglican Church. His wife was murdered by the rebels.
When somebody commits crimes, the Luo people always forgive. They forgive. But forgiveness is conditional in Luo, in our culture. If you accept responsibility, you own your action, the Luo people forgive you instantly. There is no way. If somebody says, "I'm sorry, it is me who has done it," the victim community has no choice. They have no option except to forgive.
For Bishop Ochola, Mato Opur contains 6 principles: truth, mercy, justice, peace, restoration, and transformation.
In the Western world, the concept is that know the truth and minister justice. So they jump from truth to justice. There are only 2 things: knowing the truth, ministering justice. It is not in our culture. Ours is, you know the truth, cover the truth with mercy, then you can do real justice. And that's why our understanding of justice is completely different from other people's understanding of justice. Ours is biblical, ours is Christian. The emphasis, the focus is not on the crime that has been committed against us. The emphasis and the focus is on relationship. Things that makes us live together.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Yes, my report this in a Acholi language. Islam means peace. But to simplify Islam into simple way, the word Islam alone derived from the word Salim, which means peace, purity, and submission to the will of Allah and obey the law. A lot of people calling Oput. There are many people doesn't know what peace is. This is current war between President Museveni and the Lord Resistance Army. This war, we are now, let me say, we are well off. We have known what war is. So that's why we are just humble ourselves, because we know what Islam means and what Islam said about war. We are just calm in the town, because since 1979, during Amin regime, there's majority of Muslim community in Kitgum district were chased away, and they went to Sudan for in exile. We stayed there for at least 8 years, and then President Museveni called us back, and then we came. After reaching here, just for 2 to 3 months, again another war erupted. And then we are just assembled in the mosque, just praying God to help the community and to help the country as large for this war.
Me being a Christian, whatever had happened, like we know God says, you should learn to forgive and then, forget and something of that kind. So actually, since that thing even happened and I was brought home, and then later on we joined and we were able to be happy again in our family, I think that has happened, and I think I've forgotten about that.
The war made my life very bad, because after now I'm not in the school as a result of war. Since my mother died, I'm not going to school. and yet I want to continue with my study. But nobody is responsible to take me to school.
Can you forgive?
I forgive.
My daughter went to fetch water. On the way, she was abducted by the rebel soldiers. I can forgive the rebels for the wrong they've done.
When I lost my uncle, and he was a very important person to me, he used to help me a lot. That was the time when I started hating these rebels. But as I talk now, because I don't see where we are heading, we really need to have a break, a stop to this thing, such that we head towards something that is better for the future generations that are coming. Yes, I can forgive. On the ground that I want the children who will come after me and myself to live in peace, to really enjoy that I'm on this earth. I should have the peace that is required. And when I live to another world, I've really done what really God has required me to do.
What makes people to separate is the broken relationship. When there's no relationship between you and me, we have nothing in common. And this process is of healing and maruput brings back the restoration of the broken relationship.
And we are begging the leader of the LRA, that is Joseph Kony, we are begging him really, if possible, to come back so that we attain peace in our Northern Uganda.
We are willing to forgive you. We are willing to forgive them. The people in Acholi are willing to forgive the LRA fighters. Even their top leaders, the Kony and Otis and the rest, they are willing to forgive.
Forgiveness is very, very, very invaluable. The cost of it cannot be paid. But God forgives. And it is too costly because it demands God himself to come down to offer his own child for our sin.
And I remember one time I went on my knees and I begged God. I was like, you know what? Okay, now I know. I really want your help. If you can just take away this luggage of being angry, I will do anything. If you can show me a way to forgive, I will do anything to feel better or to feel how I used to feel before. That alone, surrendering and just let go, put everything in the hands of God, was the whole beginning of feeling much different. Following the genocides in Rwanda and former Yugoslavia, the United Nations formed an international criminal court to try those accused of committing the crimes against humanity. While well-intentioned, many in northern Uganda argue that the threat of an international tribunal discourages the rebels' leadership from signing a peace agreement. The top leaders fear that they will be arrested once they emerge from their camps located deep in the African bush.
Now government is saying, even the world is saying, let us find another form of justice. Because the court as form of justice has a lot of limitations.
The people are not happy with the International Criminal Court because, one, they think that it is going to prevent the peace process because they feel that Joseph Kony will not sign the peace agreement if the issue of the International Criminal Court is still there.
Kony is fearing indictment judges of the ICC. So he wants his people to support that the ICC must not interfere. Let the issue be done culturally through a system, justice system of Mataput. And when that is done, our MPs, Member of Parliament, propose for Mataput that it be embedded into the Constitution of Uganda. And when that one is done, it will be lawful. It will be lawful to handle this case of the LRA.
Signs of hope are beginning to emerge. In mid-2006, a ceasefire agreement was signed. Peace talks began. As a part of the peace process, a cessation of hostilities team was formed. The team includes Ugandan military, government officials, the rebels, mediators, and witnesses from many other African nations. Driving from camp to camp, representatives from the rebels, including militia officers and civilian mediators, acknowledged their role in committing atrocities. They asked for forgiveness.
You cannot forgive somebody who has not asked for forgiveness. So that's why the chairman of LRA delegation was saying a message from Kony is that on the part of the LRA, forgive us for everything that we have done. Because since they signed on the agreement of agenda number 3 about reconciliation and accountability, government so signed, LRA also signed. That shows that both parties committed atrocities on the people in the Northern Uganda. So the chairman is passing a message of the LRA commander, that is Joseph Kony, that he has sent him to say, forgive them.
Stop the war, stop the war. Motherland, think about children education. When shall the beastly war in the north forgive the land? Children abducted day and night, girls sexually abused. Stop the war, stop the war. Relatives and friends, motherland, stop the war. Motherland, part of Africa, the nation is longing for peace.
We are here teaching the children, but we are getting difficulties in many ways because we have children who are traumatized, and it is making our work difficult. You know, the children who are traumatized, to bring back their mind. Sometimes they may be thinking what has happened on them when they were in the bush. Then it is difficult, we as teachers, to bring their mind to what we are teaching. We have the delegation from LRA and different representatives from different countries. They have come just to find out the opinion of the people of the locality, their opinion about the peace of Northern Uganda.
The people here have said to hell with ICC, so they will, for your sake, put up their hands again.
The LRA are here today to bring a message of peace and to consult with the people on the important parameters of what we agreed on in Juba. We want to build the implementation protocol, and we want their opinion about this matter. The issues that have been raised here are: one, have they forgiven Kony and his commanders? That is why we asked here and we said, let them put up their hands. Those who say they want, they totally forgive Kony and his commanders should put up their hands. And you saw their hands being put up. And then secondly, we asked them about the issue of the ICC. Do they prefer the ICC justice mechanism, or they would like the ICC indictment to be withdrawn so that the matter is solved by traditional justice mechanism?
This system of the Acholi, the traditional system which the Acholi people are talking of, it is going to be a big lesson to the people in the world. Because I want to show you that from the time this war started, 20 years, there are many of the other LRAs actually who have already come. They are living with the people. Nothing has happened to them. That shows that the Acholi people has got a heart for forgiveness.
The Americans, the British, the Australians would even accept when justice is done and done well, that will get reconciliation. It will be accepted. That would be better. But I know if this is not done, Kony will not sign the peace process. Will not sign the peace agreement because he fears. Now he has not come. Any light mistake of coming, he would be picked and even taken to Hague in the ICC headquarters. So he fears that. The big thing is fear. But our people think that enough is enough. Even if he has destroyed us and the rest, we must now forget and then go to traditional maraput.
Given my experience, we move on. When we still have peace, that is when we want to hold on to anger. But when we realize that we are stripped of, we don't have anything, then we are ready to let it go. Since the fighting has stopped, many of the IDP camps have begun to empty. People are returning to their homes and trying to rebuild their lives.
We had some fear because having left home for quite long, we've been in the camp and we left this home busy because of the insecurity. The rebels were even around our homes. So these people went on planting landmines. Possibly, we expect there could still be some element of the landmines around. Even this is interfering with our gardening activities because we are scared of going to do the farming. And although they are trying to come up to assist us by detecting the landmines, we still have that fear. We are still happy that we have returned to our own home because the life we are finding here is now different from how we were in the camp, because we used to be crowded in one place, and here now home we are free. We can even have time to interact with our children, as in educate them well, and even do some small activities around our home. So we are really happy, and we expect to be more happy as we wait for the results of the peace talk that is going on. We are building the granary to keep our foodstuffs, because when we came back home, we did some small farming around our home, and now we have finished harvesting, so the granary is to keep our foodstuffs. Since we even have only one hut we are living in, so we need some space as we still try to put up some other small huts. This granary here, we get the materials from the bush, especially the bamboo. When it's brought home, it is a kind of handcraft work where the men are the ones involved in making the structure, and then I, as a woman, have come in to put the mud, because this mud I just made it from around here, and the purpose of putting the mud is to cover the spacings between the bamboo, so that whatever we keep in is protected from rain or sunshine or anything that could, maybe insects which could go to disturb the granary. I can forgive these people for whatever they've done. First of all, these are our own people, they are our children, our brother, and actually our fathers who are there. People can go wrong, so we need to forgive them. And personally, I'm ready to forgive them and welcome them back home.
While formal negotiations drag on, dreams of peace are placed on hold. If and when an agreement is signed, the Acholi people of Northern Uganda are ready to forgive.
Personally, I'm very hopeful, because the God we serve is a mighty God. He's a mighty God. Because if we read from the Bible and we see the history of the Israelites, what they underwent, very difficult times. But then, what happened to them? They inhabited Canaan. So, we have hope that our mighty God will work around and get us through all these difficulties we have had. We are sad. We are really saddened with what has happened. But as church leaders for us, we have to have hope. Because we believe in Christ, who came to reconcile us to God because of our sins. So if Christ offered himself to reconcile people to God, what do we preach? We preach reconciliation. For us, we preach reconciliation. So, since we preach reconciliation, are we able to reconcile our people with the LRA? We are willing.
It is restorative, you know. It helps to bring people together. It makes people to become completely transformed so that they become friends again, completely different people, new people, as it is in the Bible, that if you are in Christ, you become a new person. Exactly, it is what it is in our culture.
If they are willing to talk peace, what are we going to do? Are we going to say we talk peace today and tomorrow take it to court? That's what our people are saying, no. If they're able to say we are sorry, they talk peace, and are willing to come back home, we embrace them. They are our brothers. They are our sisters who were led by, I believe, it's the devil, to turn against their horn, to torment them, to torture them. He may come back and say, you want to come back home, we shall welcome them. For us, we shall welcome them. Let them come back home.
I can forgive them.
How can you forgive them?
Through praying and telling them the truth that I have forgiven you with all my life.
In the house of the Lord, hallelujah today. In the house of the Lord, there is
Put God the first and to forgive one another, even if rebels want to kill you. First pray to God. If they say that today you are died, you just pray into your heart there. Just pray. God will forgive you and God will do a miracle. Rebels will go away. Rebels will run away.
wanna be no war on Yesu. Mani maro ni maro kwa nyogina bala.
The proceeding has been a production of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America and the National Council of Churches.